Hey YouTube, Wig here, bringing you all my Sanwitch Yugioh deck profile for June 2020. I figured I'd make a deck profile on one of the strongest fusion monsters we have in the game, and that is Sanwitch, a fusion between Sengen and Witch of the Black Forest, two very well-known searchers in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That have been around since the beginning. The main focus of the deck, like I said, is to just use the search power of both of these cards to just keep your hand increasing, and then be able to fusion out, like I said, one of the strongest fusion monsters we have available to us in the game, which is Sanwitch, using these two monsters and then using all the different types of fusion power we have for this deck just to help benefit with all the other plays we can do. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So starting off with the monsters for the main deck, I'm running 3 Witch of the Black Forest. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you add one monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand, but you cannot activate cards or effects of cards with the same name for the rest of this turn, and you can only use this effect of Witch of the Black Forest once per turn. So even if you're not going for the fusion play, you still have search power with this card on the field. It has to be sent from the field. Just remember that, the original text saying when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you search the 1500 or less defense, and then you have no limitations, but the ultra rare of the card has the new errata effect that you have to follow, which makes it so this card was originally banned, but now not being as good with the search power. 3 power means we can go all powerful for the Sanwitch deck to get out this fusion monster. So you definitely want to run 3 Witch of the Black Forest. Like I said, it's your main, one of the 2 main monsters to get out your main boss monster, with the other one being Sengen, which you also run 3 of. I just think it's really, really cool that they made us a fusion of probably, like I said, one of the 2 best known searchers in all of the game. So 3 Sengen having the same effect basically of Witch of the Black Forest, except when this one is sent from the field to the graveyard, you add one monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, but you cannot activate cards or effects with the same name for the rest of this turn. But this one helps because then we have the option for searching out some of our hand trap power in the deck in the form of Ash Blossom, since it has 1500 less attack. You just can't use the Ash Blossom during that turn, but still very, very useful just to add to your hand to have for later plays as well. And running max of 3 definitely helps for your overall play to get out, like I said, which we are also running 3 of in the extra deck when we get to the extra deck of Sanwitch. And since they're both specific named monsters for fusion, I run 3 King of the Swamp as well. Just having the additional search power with this card is a big help for searching out our polymerization by discarding this card to add it from our deck to our hand. But then also, like I said, being able to substitute for one of the 2 fusions for Sanwitch means that you can have this card and the additional other card in your hand to use. You can't activate the effects, but if you send Witch of the Black Forest, get that search, then you have the option just to thin out the deck as well, giving you a King of the Swamp, and then hopefully having the Sengen or another card in your hand to use for the fusion play. And for some of the other additional cards that I am running in the deck, just for the overall setup, I'm running 2 Tour Guide from the Underworld. It is semi-limited currently on the ban list, but this one just gives us another search for Sengen that much quicker to get it out onto the field. You can either exceed play if you don't have the fusion play to go for, or, like I said, giving you Sengen on the field gives you that additional monster, and then if you have any other additional monsters on the field along with Tour Guide, you can go for the Link play and save Sengen and Witch of the Black Forest for the Sanwitch fusion play. And to go right along with King of the Swamp, I'm also running 2, the Dark Hex Sealed Fusion, just another substitute card. The Tribute means you can get out Sanwitch from the extra deck as well, but also just being able to substitute it means more and more spot positions for those monsters, since, like I said, they're the main focus, and we're running 3 of each in the deck, but just having added backup options definitely comes in handy also for those fusion setups. And I am also running 2 Elemental Hero Prisma, just being able to copy the name by revealing the extra deck monster, sending the proper monster to the graveyard, which then can be special summoned back from the graveyard to use its scent effect, and then having Prisma share that name to use it for the fusion play definitely comes in handy for that additional power and just thinning out the deck so we can get some more of our draw power, but still setting up important monsters in our graveyard to use, because if you have one or the other in your hand, just being able to send the other one with Prisma means you can get the right name to get out. And once again, strongest card in the deck are Sanwitch. And I am also running 2 Keeper of Dragon Magic. We have plenty of fusion searches and just being able to summon resources back onto the field. Even if it's face down, you can still use Witch of the Black Forest or Sengen for the fusion play. But if your opponent attacks into it, they'll still have the scent effect as well to use for that power. It's a once per turn effect as well, so just remember if you've already used it, it might be best to save it for next turn to have more search power to go for. But with the differing defenses for all these cards, you have plenty of search options for every card in the deck, depending on which of the Black Forest or Sangan being sent to the graveyard. And lastly, for the main fusion play setup, I'm running one Lunalight Black Sheep. I just like the additional polymerization search with this one having that option for the polymerization search. So let's say you have King of the Swamp in your hand, but you want it for the fusion play because you're one short of either Sangan or Witch of the Black Forest, relying on the Black Sheep as just an additional extender or even just a monster if we need it. And the fact that it has 100 attack and 600 defense being searchable off of both of the cards is an added plus also. And like I said before, to finish off the monsters, just the 3 Ash Blossom, just another good card to stop our opponent's searches, and the fact that it is searchable off of Sangan is all the better as well. Remember, if you search it, you won't be able to use the effect that turn, but most of the time, you know, after your opponent attacks into it, they're not going to be doing much more searching during the main phase 2, so it's just best to have this option available to you later on if you need to rely on it to stop any more of your opponent's searches late game. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I'm running 2 Polymerization. The only reason I'm running 2 of this is we have other fusion options and then also just more and more search power to rely on these cards in the deck. So that's really, I feel, all you need for that search power to get this card, having King of the Swamp and also our Black Sheep Lunalight to search it out. You'll have plenty of options, but having multiples of this in this card just lowers the amount of monsters we can have in our hand, which then takes away for the overall, monster spam you can have on the field for your different plays also. Plus, we also have the Ultra Polymerization. I like this one. You pay 2,000 life points to fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using 2 monsters you control as fusion material. Neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. You can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 fusion monster that was fusion summoned with this card's effect and special summon all the fusion materials used for its fusion from your graveyard but change their attack and defense to 0. Also, they have their effects negated. So once they're on the field, if you already use them for the fusion play, like let's say you have that play available to go for using monsters you control, and then you'll get that search. But then if you just keep Sangan and Witch of the Black Forest on the field, next turn if they're sent to the graveyard or if your opponent keeps them on the field, you can use them for link plays the turn after and get more searches after that also. And just for more of the attack power, I run 2 Defusion, just being able to defuse. I wouldn't want to most of the time defuse out of the most powerful fusion monster in the game, but also just being able to get more resources on the field to use the send effect again. You're going to want to use that effect a lot, even though it's a once per turn, using all these different cards to either put them back onto the field or, defuse the fusion monster and put them back on the field. Plenty of ways to do so with these cards also. And just for a more power boost, I'm running 2 Wonder Wand. I run this, you equip it onto a spellcaster, which Sanwitch is, for the draw 2 power and the 500 boost. If you didn't want to rely on the draw power of this card, you can also swap this card out and instead try running Fusion Weapon, which would boost up Sanwitch by 1500 attack, making it a true powerhouse monster. But like I said, I like the draw power of this card also, that draw 2, and then just more and more resource searching for you to make a Sandwich again as well, is why I like this card also in the deck. And for more search power for polymerization, I'm running 2 Fusion Recycling Plant. This one is great for just, like I said, searching polymerization, adding resources back unless we use the Ultra Polymerization. But being able to have that discard power sets up other stuff in the graveyard to use and allows us to also use those cards again for more plays later on. And for some of the 1-0s, I'm running 1 Secret Village of the Spellcaster. We will most of the time have Sandwich on the field, which will shut down our opponent's spell cards as long as this card stays on the field. And even if we defuse using this card, we still have other spellcasters in the deck, like Witch of the Black Forest. Sangan may be a fiend type monster, but usually when these 2 are defused or special summoned with Ultra Polymerization, they always come out together. So your opponent may try and go for the Witch of the Black Forest, but as long as you have that card to rely on, or just keeping Sandwich on the field, you should be good there. Also, the 1 Terraforming for the Fusion Recycling Plant or the Secret Village, both come in handy with this one as well. Also, 1 Monster Reborn, special summoning more resources from the graveyard to use, Pot of Avarice, and also Fusion Recovery I really do like if you have the multiple numbers of the different fusion monsters in your hand for the resources, using Sangan and then adding, let's say, Witch of the Black Forest and Polymerization back to your hand, then using Fusion Recovery. For that recover means you can add those cards and fuse again into Sandwich. And I also run the 1 1 reinforcements of the army. This is to search out the elemental hero Prisma for then just being able to normal summon it and set the graveyard out for copying the names also. And then lastly, to finish off the spells, I'm running 3 Call by the Grave. I decided over this, if you wanted to try some other stuff like Call the Haunted for a trap lineup, you can give that a try also. But we're using up some life points pretty heavily with Ultra Polymerization. That's why I wasn't running the Solemn lineup in this deck. You can give it a try, but like I said, it's going to eat away at your life points pretty quickly. That's why I chose the 3 Call by the Grave instead. And that is it for the main deck. Now we'll move on to the extra deck. Boss monster of the deck. You definitely need to run 3 of it, and that is Sanwitch. It has no effect, but it doesn't need it. And you fuse this card by using Sanwitch and Witch of the Black Forest, which I've stated many a times in this deck profile. The main focus, getting the searches off those cards for other cards we run, and then being able to just use all the fusion power we have available to us with this card in the field, and Master Rule 5 being a thing now. You can get out multiple Sanwitches on the field as long as you have all of the different plays to go for. If you can give your opponent 3 Sanwitches on the field, I think that would be plenty enough for you to win the game right then and there. For other additional fusion support, I'm also running the 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, just another option for fusion summoning out cards if you need just another fusion option, but most of the time you won't. Once Sanwitch is out, you're pretty much good there. And for the Link monsters, 1 Cross Sheep for the fusion plays, a big boost for sure, 1 Barricade Board Blocker to recycle the field spells, 1 Wee Witch, since all the monsters, or the good majority of the ones we summon out, are Dark Attribute, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Master King Archfiend for the Fiend plays with Tour Guide and Sangan as well, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Borrowload Dragon. And then for the Xyz, the 1 Abyss Dweller and the 1 Phantom Knights of Breaksword, when you can make them, especially with the Tour Guide play here also. And as for the go-to plays, like I said, you always want to try and just fusion out, defusion, and then go for the Ultra Polymerization plays. But as long as you open up those cards, you shouldn't have much else to rely on aside just getting out Sanwitch and winning the game. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.